Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Senate Standing Committee on Local Government and ask if we could please stand and salute our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today we have a number of guests that are going to be sharing their thoughts with us, but before we get to that, we're going to take up our agenda. I'd like to thank Senators Murphy and Latimer for being here with us this morning, and Senator Latimer is going to act as our ranking member this morning. Do we have voting sheets?
Yes, we do. We have voting sheets from Senators Boyle, Bort, Ritchie, Valesky, and Senator Latimer has sheets from Senator Hoylman and Penapinto.
So let's do the agenda. The first bill on the agenda is Senate Bill 888A by Senator Avella.
An act to amend the Volunteer Firefighters Benefit Law and the Volunteer Ambulance Workers Benefit Law in relation to the payment of death benefits.
Can you move it?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? The bill is moved. Next bill is Senate 1165 by Senators Serrano, and it's going to be referred to Finance.
An act to direct the New York State Department of Health to conduct a study on the high incidence of asthma in the borough of the Bronx and the city of New York and to prepare a remedial plan.
Motion? Second?
Without rec. Vote without rec.
Without rec. Any other without rec?
We're
The bill is moved. Okay. Next is Senate Bill 1633 by Senator Bonasek, which will be referred to Finance.
An act to amend the county law and the corrections law in relation to allowing 2 or more counties to enter into a contract for the provision of a county jail.
Would someone move that?
So moved. Second.
The bill is moved. In the past 2 years, this bill was reported from local government and passed the Senate. However, it did not move in the Assembly's Health Committee. Next bill is Senate 1633. No, that's one we just did. I'm sorry, that's the one we just passed.
Yes.
Forgive me. I was referring previous to Senate 1165. I'm sorry. The Bonasek bill had passed the Senate for the last 5 out of the 6 years. Next bill is 2250 by Senator Larkin.
An act to amend the general municipal law in relation to authorizing industrial development agencies to provide assistance to agricultural producers.
Move that. Second?
Second.
There's a without rec by Senator Penapinto.
It's reported.
Okay. This bill was, we reported this bill from committee last year and it passed in the Senate. It stayed in committee in the Assembly. Next is Senate Bill S2259 by Senator Larkin.
An act to remove from the Albert Wisner Memorial Public Library Service the area that is that portion of the town of Chester in the county of Orange, which is located within such district.
Second.
The bill, thank you, the bill is reported.
There's a without rec by Senator Hoylman.
The bill was reported from committee last year, passed the Senate, but again did not move in the Assembly. Next bill is 2295 by Senator Griffo.
An act to amend the general municipal law and the education law in relation to prohibiting the establishment of certain programs mandated for municipal corporations and school districts unless such programs are fully funded by the state.
Someone move that?
Second.
And I'm sure our friends like this bill that we're moving forward. It was passed in the Senate in the last 2 out of the 3 years, but it has not moved in the Assembly's Local Government Committee, and this will be referred to Finance.
There was a nay vote from Senator Hoylman.
Okay. Next is S2332A by Senator Brown.
An act to authorize Overcoming Love Ministries to file an application for a real property tax exemption.
Without rec. I didn't quite know what an Overcoming Love Ministry was, so I'm without rec.
Okay. Okay. Well, the bill is moved, and it passed the Senate last year, but it stayed in the committee again in the Assembly. So the next bill is S2936 by Senator Laval.
An act in relation to authorizing the villages of Sag Harbor and East Hampton, County of Suffolk, to reduce the speed limits in certain cases.
Can I move that? Second?
Second.
The bill is moved. This was a new bill last year. It reported from this committee and passed the Senate. It did not move from the Assembly's Transportation Committee. I'd like to welcome Senator Boyle. Next is Senate Bill 2928 from Senator LaBelle.
An act in relation to authorizing the town board of the town of East Hampton, County of Suffolk, to regulate speed limits in such town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is reported. The bill was also new last year. It too was reported from the committee and passed the Senate, and it sat in the Assembly's Transportation Committee. Next bill is S5857A, and it's my bill.
An act to authorize the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York to retroactively apply for a real property tax exemption for certain properties in the city of Saratoga Springs.
You should move the bill, Madam
Do
Chair.
I'd like to move that bill.
Do I have
Thank
to
you.
second that?
You do.
Of course I do.
Thank you. The bill is moved. It passed the Senate last year, but it did not move out of the Assembly's Real Property Taxation Committee. Next bill is S6044A by Senator Martins.
An act to authorize the Manhasset Park District to retroactively apply for a real property tax exemption for certain property in the hamlet of Manhasset, County of Nassau.
Anyone move that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The bill is moved. Next is, the last bill is S6627 by Senator Croce.
An act to authorize the House of Judah Evangelistic Ministries Incorporated to file an application for exemption from real property taxes for a certain parcel of land located in the town of Iceland.
Someone move that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
This was a new bill. Okay, that takes care of our agenda, our formal agenda, and we have invited a number of guests, and first is the Conference of Mayors and Municipal Officials. If you would like to address us, please come forward. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. If you would like to introduce yourselves and
Sure.
who you have with you.
Excuse me.
Good morning. I'm Mayor Richard Milne from the Village of Honeoye Falls and President of the New York State Conference of Mayors. It's a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Peter Baines, the Executive Director of NICOM.
And I'm Barbara Venice, the Deputy Director of NICOM.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
We have just completed our legislative action meetings, and we have heard from many of our members who were in attendance in Albany over the past couple of days. And one of our main concerns is the need in this year's budget for an increase to unrestricted state aid to our municipalities. We have not seen any real increases in unrestricted aid in the old AIM funding since the 2008-2009 timeframe. And that funding has actually declined in real dollars to the tune of some $50 million in that time. While our other municipal leaders, and there's really two types of municipalities, if you will. There are the schools, which have some $24 billion in aid, which is some 30 times more than municipalities. Our total in AIM funding is some $715 million. So we're not saying at all that the schools do not deserve their funding. We certainly support that, but it is the municipalities, the towns, the villages, and the cities that provide the infrastructure to run those schools. And without any type of real increase in support, we just can't keep in business. It's very, very difficult. So we're asking you to consider increases to unrestricted funding, because that type of funding, municipalities have always had a strong showing in what they use that money for. They make it work. So we would appreciate any consideration for that.
How much are you looking for?
Is That's a great question.
Yeah.
Just the same way.
Well, we can start by
Parity with the school districts?
Well, that would be.
we can start by restoring the 50 million that's been cut over the last 8 years. That would be a decent start. But we think every year that when schools aid is increased, municipal aid should be increased as well. We're 1/3 of the property tax pie, so they are the other 2/3. So I think we have to treat both sides of the equation is our primary point. The second proposal we have, which we did talk about at the fiscal committee's budget hearing, we're still working on a better name for it. Tax cap equalization rate aid. I think it's a better term is tax cap compliance aid. We came to the legislature last year and asked you to revisit several things about the tax cap, one of which was that everybody in New York knows it is a 2% tax cap, but it's not a 2% tax cap. And we're in even worse shape this year than last year because the cap is now 0.12%. We were not successful in getting that cap made a hard cap last year, and we know that it'll be even more difficult this year because you already renewed the cap.
I hate to tell you that tax cap compliance is much sexier than tax cap equalization.
Yeah.
How about like a true two or something?
Yeah.
True to us is a good.
But the fundamental concept behind it is with state aid, it would in essence create a 2% cap if a municipality with the aid stayed under the 0.12% cap. So what we're asking for is aid to fill the difference between levy growth of 2% versus levy growth of 0.12%. It would be $100 million cost to the state if every city, town, and village complied. I think without that aid, even with the best efforts of our members, the compliance with the tax cap is going to go way down this year. It's just a reality. And I know some people in the Capitol tell our members, well, if you don't like the cap, then just exceed it. But I don't think that's really the concept of the cap. Our members, just as much as you, want to keep taxes flat. So we think with a partnership with a state like this for $100 million, it's a lot cheaper than a $1.5 billion tax rebate program, and we'll save our residents from having to pay taxes and wait 13, 14 months to get their money back. And this will keep their taxes flat to begin with. So that is something we discussed yesterday at our legislative meeting, and we have had some interest from individual members of the legislature, and will continue to push. Any questions on that? Is that clear? What we're aiming for there?
It's very, very understandable.
Yeah. And then the third issue we're focusing on is infrastructure funding, which the governor and the legislature last year provided a $200 million program for water and sewer infrastructure, which was huge, very important, and much appreciated. The governor has already proposed a $100 million increase in this year's budget, which we're very supportive of. We think the need still dwarfs that amount, and certainly if the legislature could add more to that $100 million increase, it would go to great use. Then the second side of the municipal infrastructure equation is the transportation side, and I think we, like all of you, are concerned about there being parity between MTA funding and road and bridge funding across the state. Whether the governor's budget reaches true parity, I think is a subject to debate. But we know that with you in budget negotiations fighting for parity, that's something we'll be supporting. The governor does provide $1 billion for a bridge program, $1 billion for a paving program. It's unclear exactly how it will be allocated. Competitions are okay, and we're fine with competitions, but having few winners in competitions we do have a problem with, because as you know, just within your districts, there's tremendous need out there. So we're more supportive, and I think you'll probably hear this from the other associations, of taking a significant amount of that transportation funding and put it through a CHIPS program or a CHIPS-like program where every municipality in the state gets a piece of it.
I heard at the budget hearing, you're all on the same page.
Yeah.
CHIPS funding works.
Yeah.
Let's use CHIPS funding. That way everyone gets a portion of those monies that are so critical in every community. And it does make sense.
And that certainly is just another great way to keep the tax rates down.
Mm-hmm.
That our local municipalities, you know, for small municipalities especially, to come up with $100,000 for a paving project is just very, very difficult, and for all of us. So if that could be spread out over more municipalities, it certainly would make sense for all. And we certainly want everyone to have that ability.
I don't know if you finished with your presentation.
Yeah, those were the three main issues we wanted to focus on, Senator.
Just a couple things. First of all, just a general statement, if I may, Madam Chair. And I think this applies to the folks who are here from NISAC and the Association of Towns. I've been involved in local government as well as up here for a number of years, and I think what the state has been doing the last few years is shameful. I really do. Local governments are not separate corporations. They provide services that the average resident receives from, in the aggregate, government. And the concept that the state government would look at the services that counties, towns, villages, cities provide as being something separate and not part of what the state's overall responsibility is, to me, is an abrogation of the state's responsibility to the people who live here. Where we are today and some of the points you've mentioned, I want to ask a little bit about the municipal infrastructure, but I think it really begins with an attitude. And when I hear the press pick up the theme that it's a tin cup brigade, that's insulting, because it's police and fire and sanitation and snow removal and recreation. And I might add, and I know many of my colleagues have served in local government. When you sit in a county or a town or village or city government, you sit right there with the public right there at a community meeting and a hearing. You can't hide 150 miles away. So I'm, as one individual, I'm extremely unhappy with the direction, and I think there's criticism on both sides of the aisle for where we've gotten to. Having said that, municipal infrastructure. We understand that the tax cap does not exempt local capital at the municipal government level, meaning cities, towns, villages, and counties. It does at the school level. With that reality, we had a $25 million program for water infrastructure improvement. The governor's added $100 million. Peter, I think you've said that there's a greater number. What do you think a target number looks like, whether it's achievable in year one? We're going to talk about minimum wage achievable over 6 years. We're going to talk about investing in schools over 6 years, or whatever number of years we're talking about. Whatever's in this budget, what do we have to get to deal with the need, Mr. Mayor, that's out there for these communities on water infrastructure?
Well, we've joined with a variety of municipal associations, environmental groups, and looked at the need. I believe the ask we had was 800 million. Was the number we thought would be a reasonable and effective target for the water sewer infrastructure crisis we're facing at the municipal level.
And help us understand what kind of regulatory pressures are there for us to reach in terms of water quality that will enforce a higher standard, whether we have the money to get us to that standard or not.
Well, that's part of the challenge. I think the money that's in the program right now probably isn't even sufficient to help those municipalities that are already under consent orders from either the DEC or EPA. So just to deal with the crisis communities that some of which we've read about lately in the papers, that will eat up all the money that's in the program right now. So that's why we need to get it higher to make sure that we don't get to the point where we have more consent orders and more crises.
And is it fair to say, my last question, if I may, Madam Chair, is it fair to say that if the state doesn't provide that additional resources, even if the localities could levy it in taxes, would that be a significant increase in your local property taxes if you had to meet those consent orders without state assistance?
Absolutely. My small village, we have our own wastewater treatment plant right now, and we are in the process of, we've had to bond a $400,000 upgrade to the effluent just because of making sure we do meet all of our water requirements. That's only for a very small addition to the end of the wastewater treatment plant. That doesn't take into effect all the sewer lines that were put in the 1920s and 30s that are crumbling that we have to replace. It would be a significant increase. My tax rate in my village is $1.96 per thousand. We have a fire department that we run. We have a village ambulance that we run. I have recently had to hire a new ambulance supervisor And the reason I'm bringing this up is because of the cost of the increases to pay just to keep our ambulance running. If I look at my current budget that I'm working on right now, it's a 35% tax increase. Obviously, I can't do that. But that 35% would only give me about $70,000 because our tax rate is so low in our village. So we do a lot with a little. So now you talk about infrastructure and this type of thing, it would be a significant, even with this support, we would have significant tax increases. It's going to have to be bonded over 20, 30 years, whatever, which we don't want to do. We're trying to bond and take loans out for 15 years to make it somewhat realistic, and we're going to have to push it out a long time.
And another point related to infrastructure, and you alluded to the tax cap and there's not an exclusion for capital for municipalities. Just to compare it to the state level, the state, you've imposed a 2% spending cap on yourselves, which you've complied with, but capital is excluded from that. And if you look at state spending with capital included over this past year, it went up over 5%. So you can see how that 0.12% cap with no capital exclusion is just, is very oppressive to a local government, just to do what they have to do to keep essential services running.
I think we've all heard from our local municipalities of how this is directly affecting them. And to your point, Mayor, it all depends if you're going to bond something, whether you're going to have that as a band or a serial.
Right.
It all depends on what your interest rate and your bond rating is. So, those are factors that, you guys have to deal with. And I understand that coming from a local background. But we hear you loud and clear.
We appreciate that, and any help that we can get.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here, and I think at this table we all come from local government, spent many, many years, and myself as a supervisor and a county clerk, and I really think a lot of times in our municipalities you do so much with so little, and I'm hearing it from you today.
And we're okay with that.
I understand
We
that.
don't mind that.
I get
But
that.
we want to stay alive.
Yeah. And you know what, I do understand the 2% tax cap. I mean, it has saved our taxpayers billions of dollars. That's a very good thing. But the idea of having a tax cap that's not 2%, that is as small as it is, I am concerned that once people say, I can't stay within it, I'm not even going to bother, we've not done what the tax cap has been meant to do, which is to be a reasonable amount of money in the percentage that you can live within it, and we do tighten up. Yet I also agree that infrastructure, water, sewer, those type of projects, I always just felt that within that 2%, if you did as the schools did and go out and have a vote, people have had an opportunity to say whether or not that percentage that would be excluded is okay with them. So I think there are some alternatives. I do think the tax cap has been very successful with people in our state not having to spend those billions of dollars in taxes, but I absolutely understand what you're saying. I had 3 meetings in my own district just last week on meeting with all of my supervisors, and I heard infrastructure in every place that I went. So thank you so much for being here with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave us
No,
with?
we appreciate the opportunity, Senator. I think we are at a crisis point. I think the state's in a strong fiscal position because of a lot of important, smart decisions you've all made. We have the settlement money that's out there, so this is the opportunity this year, we think, to really re-engage that partnership with municipalities like you already have with the school districts.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Senator.
much for
Thank you
being
very
here.
much. Sincerely appreciate your time.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
You too.
Senator, I'm gonna-
You're going to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Next on our agenda, I understand that the New York Association of Counties and the New York Association of County Clerks are making a joint presentation.
Senator, if you want to go to the Association of Towns while we wait for the clerks.
Perfect. Association of Towns. Please come forward.
Thank you, Senator.
We'd just like to just have a special welcome to Congressman McNulty, who is here with us today. Thank you so much for being with us. And we get to see each other at the Deceased Veterans Ceremony in Rensselaer County, which, we need to say thank you to the congressman, because it was he who started the deceased veteran ceremony everywhere in the state. So, and he never misses. He's there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it speaks so highly of his concern and appreciation for our veterans. Please introduce yourselves.
Good morning, Senator. My name is Jerry Geist. I'm Executive Director of the Association of Towns. Next to me is our Chief Counsel, Lori Niffen-Damasi, and we really are grateful to have this opportunity to come before you today. It's always gratifying to see my long-standing high school friend, Senator George Latimer, who happens to be my personal state senator, and we grew up together. So,
And for the record, Mr. Geist graduated 2 years after I did. So I have that with this.
So we're very proud of our state senator. And we're especially thankful to you, Senator, for your help last year co-sponsoring legislation to reduce the cost of special elections for town referendum with my Assemblyman David Buchwald. So we're very grateful for all your work and your dedication to local governments as well. I don't want to sit and rehash what Peter Baines and the Conference of Mayors regarding AIM. We totally agree that AIM has to be re-looked at. The facts are that being flat is really, we're going backwards. And we don't really understand why the state doesn't recognize that we're a true partner in delivering services and that we need additional funds at this time. And I agree with Mr. Baines when he says we should at least make up the difference. But I think it would show a commitment by the state to recognize that local governments have been working well, trying to meet its obligations and stay within the cap and work under the freeze. But we need help. As a former town official myself, I know how hard it is. Nobody wants to raise taxes. No one wants to bust the cap. In my town, we had 0 increases for 15 straight years. So I think towns are good, as you know, towns, and Senator Latimer knows, but we're good stewards of the public trust and the public funds. But we're doing so much more with less, and we need help to meet the needs for our communities. So AIM is really critical for us, and we would appreciate any assistance that you could do. Same with CHIPS and Marcus-Elliott. There's a crying need here, no increase. We don't know any of the details of the governor's proposals, and we're very concerned about this competition program because every locality is different. Every locality has a different ability to have different types of staffs or money's available. So it wouldn't be really fair for a lot of our smaller communities to compete with larger communities to try to get some of this aid. And we already have these formulas in place that really deliver parity. So we really believe that all these ideas of rebuild New York and repave New York and bridges are great, but we don't know the details and we don't know what it means on the ground to our members. And so we would like your help with that. Obviously, the parity issue is a huge issue. The fact that it's going even farther away is a concern. It's supposed to be equal now. It keeps going up, and that difference is something that we're concerned. And as you know, down in my area of the state, we still have that payroll tax for the MTA, which people are getting even more annoyed when they hear about the parity difference. So that's another issue that we wanted to point out. Obviously, we agree about the water and sewer funding as well. A lot of our communities have crumbling infrastructure. It's old and needs